Meeting of 2025. I'm glad you all could join us. First, let's have a call of order and roll call.
Senator Nemes, Senator Rawlings, Senator Thomas, Senator Williams, Representative Lehman, Representative Lewis, Representative Miles, Representative Payne, Co-Chair Bray,
Present.
Chair Mays Bledsoe.
All right, we have a quorum, so let's have an approval. Can I get a motion to approve the October 9th meeting minutes? Thank you. Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion passes. We have with us this morning a great last final panel to talk a little bit about the practical uses of how AI might be in case uses in Kentucky state government. So, Ms. McNeil, I'll turn it over to you all if you want to introduce yourselves for the record, and then you may start your presentation.
Hey, good morning. Co-Chairman Bledsoe, Co-Chairman Bray, and members of the task force. My name is Chase Hallman, the Director of Public Safety Business Development for VIA Science, also known as VIA. Was previously a corrections official with the Georgia Department of Corrections and a deputy sheriff with the Spalding County Sheriff's Office in Georgia. I'm joined today by my colleague Joe Babyak, the Chief Commercial Officer for VIA, and want to say thank you again for this opportunity to discuss AI, data analytics, and machine learning, and how that can address a growing public safety concern, which is the proliferation of contraband cell phones in our prison system. VIA is a leading AI company that works with the Department of Defense, the intelligence community, and other sectors across the public and private community. Today, I'd like to show you how VIA's technology illustrates the power of AI to combat a serious growing threat, which is contraband cell phones used by offenders in correctional facilities. VIA's technology integrates a legally intercepted contraband communication. Can you hear me okay? Contraband communication data with existing law enforcement databases and other sources, creating a single pane of glass for corrections officials to connect dots, detect patterns, and expose broader criminal networks operating both inside and outside prison walls. For context, the black market economy for a contraband cell phone is highly lucrative. A single smuggled cell phone can sell in the prison system for $2,500 to $7,000 each. Tens of thousands of devices are confiscated and entered into the prison by sophisticated means. From compromised staff members to massive drops from drones directly onto prison rooftops, the Department of Corrections are facing not just isolated bad actors, but coordinated criminal networks, often linked to gangs, cartels, and others, using contraband phones to traffic drugs, coordinate violence, and threaten public safety. Seniors, citizens in the community have been scammed by offenders using contraband cell phones, with entire fraud rings run directly from behind prison walls. VIA believes that the growing threat demands an equally sophisticated response, one that doesn't just stop inmates from using illegal phones, but dismantles the networks that depend on them. In partnership with the Georgia Department of Corrections, VIA developed and deployed AI technology to address this threat. Unlike traditional cell jamming, which indiscriminately blocks all signals in an area, or physical searches which place officers at risk, VIA's technology accurately identifies contraband phones and termination and preserves the evidentiary and investigatory value of intercepted communications, while eliminating the need for dangerous in-person searches. For example, in March of 2024, a multi-agency investigation involving the Georgia Department of Corrections, the FBI Safe Streets Gang Task Force relied on VIA's technology to disrupt a massive criminal enterprise operating in and out of Georgia's prisons. In Operation Skyhawk, a drone repair operator working on behalf of criminal organizations to modify drones to avoid no-fly restrictions around prisons and to facilitate large drops of contraband. As you can see, these aren't your average backyard hobby drones. The operation documented 60-pound contraband deliveries involving drones the size of a table. VIA's technology played a central role in this operation. It helped identify on wiretaps previously unknown inmate members of the network, detect new devices activated after confiscations, and map the internal and external command structure of multiple gang networks, discoveries that would have been impossible without VIA's AI-enabled pattern detection. Operation Skyhawk resulted in the largest gang-related RICO case in Georgia's history. That investigation led to more than 180 arrests, seizures exceeding $7 million, including 87 drones, 273 contraband cell phones, 180 civilian cell phones, 22 firearms, and a large quantity of drugs such as marijuana, meth, ecstasy, cocaine. Unfortunately, the criminal enterprise also included 8 correctional officers. Of relevance to this task force, contraband cell phones and drone-enabled smuggling aren't just a Georgia problem. Data analysis of the flight maps of the drones seized in Operation Skyhawk identified a network of up to 10 states, including Kentucky. At the federal level, there's been some movement led by a coalition of state attorney generals to authorize the signal jamming in and out of prisons as one tool to combat contraband cell phones. While jamming may sound like a straightforward solution, it carries significant operational and legal safety risk. It can interfere with 911 calls, first responder networks, and other legitimate communications outside the prison perimeter. Importantly, jamming prevents authorities from monitoring or investigating criminal activity that occurs over contraband devices. Instead of silencing the signal, VIA's IA-based tool turns it into actionable intelligence, allowing law enforcement to uncover, disrupt, and dismantle criminal networks at their source. I hope my testimony underscores the transformative value of AI in public safety and corrections by enabling agencies to integrate, analyze, and act on complex data. AI keeps our communities safer, our prisons more secure, and correctional officers better protected. As the Commonwealth continues to explore how AI can be responsibly deployed in public safety, we would welcome the opportunity to continue this dialogue with lawmakers, correctional officials, and other stakeholders to develop sound policies that support the safe and ethical integration of AI technologies. We also encourage the executive branch to consider adoption of AI technologies that can strengthen public safety and support the Commonwealth's leadership and innovation. Thank you again for your time, and happy to answer any questions.
You want to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. Again, I'm Joe Babiak. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for VIA Science. Pleased to be here with Chase. Thanks again for the opportunity to meet with you all today.
So one of the reasons and thank you for your presentation, that we asked you all to come and talk about is that, state government has uses for AI that are appropriate and interesting. And this is one of those kind of situations where we could use AI for public safety and to enable, more efficient and more responsible government in the public safety and justice area. Does anybody have any questions for him? Senator Williams?
Thank you. So, how do you do your data collection for AI on that? Yeah, that's the answer. How do you do your data collection for the AI to act on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Senator.
Thank you.
We work closely with customers who permission the data that we're able to connect to the AI in our tool. So we work with the tremendous amount of data that corrections departments already have, but often exist in separate silos. What we do is get permission from the departments to connect all that data into what we call a data fabric that brings that together. And then we use some of the special sauce of our company to make sure that we're very secure about how we connect that data to the AI. We're trying to make sure that only authorized data is used, and we're trying to make sure that privacy and other considerations are respected in the way that the AI analyzes the data. Importantly, the data that's provided remains the property of the customers that we have. So in the case of a corrections department, it remains the property of the state, always accessible for state uses in our tool or elsewise. So in that regard, we're trying to help departments get better use out of the data they already have.
So are you, may I ask a follow-up question? So are you, you have listening devices located in the prisons where you're listening, I'm not listening, but you're monitoring the over-the-air connections, and a lot of them are encrypted, but sort of doing what in the military they might call SIGINT, where you're looking at your endpoints. But the key is, are there listening devices that you install in the
That's a great
around?
question. That's a great question. You're obviously very familiar with the technology that's used. There's a variety of methods used to try to detect the use of unauthorized devices in prisons. Mm-hmm. There are other companies that install the sensors that do that signals collection. Uh-huh. Our role is to then connect that data to other information departments have to process that data much more effectively than one can do when that data is analyzed in isolation. The context from evidentiary records, from the recorded phones or calls, from wall phones placed in prisons, from visitor logs, from other things that departments are authorized to collect legally. Mm-hmm. When that information is used to then provide context for the information that the signal intelligence captures, we see much deeper insights about that information, and we're much more accurate about determining what is probably contraband device use that the SIGINT is capturing, and what would be sensors or other legitimate activity in and around a facility that we want to make sure to leave out and focus a corrections officer's attention on the contraband devices.
Okay, just one final question. So my understanding is you're doing the analysis. You're not actually doing the SIG. You're not actually capturing the data. They're providing you
that is correct.
That you do analysis.
Yeah, you're very correct. Our role is to help corrections departments get much more value by making if you will, the whole greater than the sum of its parts. Not just individual silos, but by bringing that data together, connecting dots, seeing patterns across all of this information, uncover newer and deeper insights, faster, more accurately, at greater scale. So corrections officers can spend more of their time making the important decisions and then taking action, less time doing the data science or other work that nobody wants to do.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Representative Lewis?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for your presentation today. Of course, when we're looking at government contracts and looking at other states that you are operating in, what does that typically look like? Like, what's your fee schedule look like? What's the term of the contract, just in general?
Yeah, it's a great question. I appreciate you asking. Our particular technology is in use in Georgia and some other states and at the federal level. So we have some variety, as you might imagine, across those different contracts based on the customer preference. The typical structure for a service like ours is that it's software as a service. So this is not a one-time installation and we walk away. And part of that is to make sure that the software continues to remain dynamic, and also we can continually monitor it to adapt to and address the latest security concerns, improvements in technology, or other things that just happen over time. So we typically price in two parts. One is a subscription for the license for the software as it exists. And then often customers will ask us for some sort of custom modification to their circumstance. And so those we typically price as a one-off charge for those particular modifications, and those typically don't recur.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Thomas?
Mr. Holman, my question is for you.
Okay.
And it's really a two-part question. Obviously, we want to use VIA so we can stop this interconnected network between gangs outside of prison and those in prison. Okay. I
guess it's one of those phones calling in now.
It happens to me too, Mr. Baby Act. So I understand. I've had that happen to me. My question, my first part of my question is this: is it necessary to have someone on the inside who's providing access of these phones to inmates in order for this to happen? Because my understanding is that all packages, all items brought into prison are heavily screened, so that there is no transfer of physical property or personal property from an outside party to an inside party. So is it necessary that you have to have someone on the inside doing this for it to work? And then secondly, if there's some truth to that, can we use AI to do a better job of screening these correction officers so that we can stop it on the front end and not have this kind of activity taking place inside prisons? So it's a two-part question for you, Mr. Holman.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's very good questions. So on the first question, yes, there are corruption. There's corruption in every Department of Corrections. It just happens. I know, particularly speaking from my experience in Georgia, I had 10 and a half years there as the Deputy Director of Office of Professional Standards, and I overseen the intelligence for the state. And we locked up several correction officers for bringing stuff in their person, in their lunch, so on and so forth. But the majority of the phones and the contraband drugs that are getting into the prisons is coming in via drone, into the prison yards, onto the roof, on top. That's how the majority of it is coming in. And we've even seen stuff where they're ordering it, fake deliveries. We've had delivery trucks show up at prisons in Georgia to deliver stuff that wasn't ordered, palletized, and it'd be full of contraband. So they're very creative in getting that in. So I hope that answers your first question. The second question is very good question. So the technology that we deploy would also screen the staff, contractors, volunteers, so on and so forth within the correctional system. Hopefully, and it's been deployed in Georgia and some other states where they're actually using this tool for applicants that are trying to come into the prison system, so that the networks or the associations with gang members and criminal networks can be seen before the correctional officers actually been hired and actually working inside the facility. We do know that gangs often recruit people to come work inside the prison system for the sole purposes of furtherance of the gang, bringing contraband in, so on and so forth. So yes, this tool does allow for the screening of applicants before they get into the correctional system, and will also expose those that are inside now that are doing communication with the inmates.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you.
All right, I see no other further questions. Thank you all so much for presenting, just again, another case use of an opportunity where AI could help assist state government be more efficient and effective, and I appreciate very much your time and testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you again for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
All right, the major goal of today's final task force meeting is to approve the task force recommendations. Staff sent via email to all members the memo summarizing our report, as well as the recommendations list. You'll find those in your packet. Co-Chair Bray and I will actually go through very quickly and read the task force recommendations back and forth, so they'll be on the record, and then we'll take a voice vote to support at the final. So if you want to start.
Sure, and thank you all that sent those in. We've tried to incorporate everybody's recommendation. Some of them are federal issues that would be more appropriate there, and so we've got a recommendation on that. But thank you to everybody that sent those in, and thanks to staff for so diligently and quickly putting all this together. Really appreciate that. So the first recommendation is consider legislative changes to the Kentucky Consumer Data Protection Act to strengthen consumer protections as data collection processes change with the evolution of AI technology.
Consider changes to the AI acceptable use policy for all state agencies.
Consider legislative policies to promote collaboration between service providers, state agencies, and state research universities for the shared use and study of Medicaid data sets for how Kentucky families can prevent certain diseases resulting in lowering health care costs to Medicaid.
Acknowledge that AI technology may be harmful to minors and consider legislative policies for the protection of minors on social media platforms.
Acknowledge that AI may impact careers regulated by professional standards and consider legislative policies in coordination with professional standards boards to discuss when and how AI should be used within their profession.
Create or facilitate the creation of an AI work group to serve as a collaborative platform to bring together state and local governments, educational institutions, healthcare providers, industry, and citizens to identify needs, collect data, develop artificial intelligence solutions, foster innovation and competitiveness, promote artificial intelligence literacy, and ensure trusted artificial intelligence development and governance for Kentucky.
Incorporate AI development and governance into existing standing committees' jurisdiction.
Consider legislative policies for the location of data centers in Kentucky, including minimum requirements for location and collaboration among local, state, and private entities.
Consider legislative policies for data centers' need for large amounts of water and power, requiring more baseload power to ensure grid sufficiency, including consultation with the Public Service Commission.
And encourage Kentucky's federal delegation to work on national policies for AI as it impacts individual Kentuckians' name, image, likeness, property rights, consumer protection, data protection from retail companies and data-driven pricing, and small business economic issues from a patchwork of state laws. Those are the entire task force recommendations. As Co-Chair Bray mentioned, we tried to incorporate everyone's thoughts in some form or fashion into these, and they would be broadly worded so that we can use them with legislation moving forward. So if anybody has any comments or questions, I would take a motion to adopt the full recommendations. Thank you. Is there a second? A second. Thank you, Senator Thomas. All those in favor of approving the task force recommendations as delivered, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Those have been adopted. And with that, we have concluded our our major goal for today. I would like to open up if anybody has any comments or questions that they would like to share about the task force. And we'll start with Senator Thomas.
Yeah. I was going to vote for all of them. Senator Bledsoe, I have to tell you that there's one that I like better than the best of all. And then there are two I approve with some caution. So let me get this on the record. Okay. The one I think is the best here is number 4, which says acknowledge that AI technology may be harmful to minors and consider legislative policies for the protection of minors on social media platforms. You know, we see every day here in America discussions of sexual exploitation of minors, sexual trafficking of minors. We know it occurs with a great deal of frequency. And AI is out there every day causing harm and danger to our children. I think this is an excellent recommendation because it promotes online safety for minors, for child welfare, and for parents. So that's one I really like. And I do hope we take some action in the 26th legislative session to address this, to encourage the use of some kind of controls that we put on AI so they don't exploit our minor children. So I like that one really well, and I want to get that on the record. The other two, and we've talked probably more about this than any other area of AI over the summer of 2025, and that's data centers. I mean, as you well know, Senator Williams and I have had a lot of conversations in meetings talking about data centers. I'm for data centers. However, I think there are 2 points that need to be made regarding the increased use and proliferation of data centers here in Kentucky. One is that no data center should be built in Kentucky without there being some kind of environmental impact survey related to how it's going to impact our environment. That has to precede any kind of installation, building, construction of data centers. We've got to do that because of the quantity of electric power that these data centers produce. We've got to make sure that they aren't causing harmful impacts on the users who already are using the grid and what that might do for our other resources, land, water, etc. I think the second thing that we need to think about, and this is kind of getting into the weeds, but excuse me, I'm going to go there, is that when we build these data centers, it comes with increased power and, more importantly, increased costs. Okay, and with the cost that is going to be attributed to the greater use of electricity, that could impact the consumers who are already using that particular that particular electric provider. And I don't think that cost should be passed on to the current users of that electrical system. I think if there's an increased cost that comes with data center construction or use, then that data center should pay for that increased cost. Not the current consumers or the current business users who were using it before the data center came online. So those are my two cautionary points about approving 8 and 9. But again, I do support 8 and 9. But I think we have to have those cautionary approaches when we talk about data center proliferation here in Kentucky.
Thank you, Senator Thomas. So on 8 and 9, I can tell you that your concerns are the exact reason that those sections were drafted. We wanted to make sure that on the minimum requirements, if you'll remember the solar bill that passed a few years ago, it provided minimum requirements on setbacks, on decommissioning bonds, making sure that if a solar farm were to be decommissioned, there was money there to make it right so that local landowners wouldn't be tasked with that. So looking at structuring something similar for data centers on that so that we've got local buy-in, that the PSC already has to do when they approve a large user, they already have to do the environmental study, kind of not necessarily an environmental, but a environmental as in the grid usage, capacity, availability, that type of stuff. That's already incorporated, and that goes into recommendation 9, because you're absolutely right. We want to make sure that the end user or the people aren't their electric bills don't increase because of consumption by the data center. And had a lot of conversation with power companies, data centers, the Public Service Commission. So there will be a bill coming to address those exact concerns.
Thank you, Senator Williams.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm actually related to this, and I think we agree on the data centers, but I'm looking at recommendation 7, incorporate AI development and governments into existing standing committees' jurisdiction. I realize the Senate and the House, they may do it different. We're going to get into session, but I would like to just take this time to say I think it ought to be energy and natural resources for a number of reasons. In the Senate, our Chairman Smith, is very familiar with these issues from blockchain and technology, but really there's a one-to-one relationship between data centers and energy, okay? And that committee already works intensively with the Public Service Commission from the energy side, so there's an understanding of how it works and how it goes together. So I would hope that whatever comes out of this in the committees, that we take a look at that committee particular, because that's really right in the wheelhouse when we're talking. Some of the AI governance is a little bit different, but the data centers portion here is definitely right in energy and natural resources. And because of the chairman's interest in blockchain and AI, there's a lot of committee members who have an understanding of that as well. So that's my 2 cents for the Senate, if not the House.
Thank you for that. I think our goal is likewise just to give leadership the opportunity to say we think it's important that we incorporate it into some kind of long-term plan. That the task force has been a wonderful tool the last 2 years to educate members and figure out kind of where we want to go, but that we're going to have to find a long-term plan for this governance and opportunity. So we trust leadership to find the best landing place, and I'm sure if they're not watching, you have a good relationship to tell them.
We all have a vote.
That's right. Well, with that, I want to say thank you very much on behalf of Co-Chair Bray and I for your time and attention this task force interim. It's been a really good committee, and I've been really grateful for our conversations. Staff has been fantastic. Thank you all for working with us, which has not been easy, I know, for you all. That Josh and I have been moving around quite a bit, and we just appreciate your help and assistance and providing some great staff support. And with that, we will adjourn until session.